I always knew the President Ramaphosa as a smart guy. I never knew he's a genius. Look who he made Minister of Sport. If President Cyril Ramaphosa calls me tomorrow and he says to me, you can have Home Affairs, you can have police, I will nicely ask him, beg him for me to remain at sports, arts and culture. For no other reason that I will never in my life have the opportunity to repay for what I've done in the past, to change lives with the opportunity that I have now. Some amongst you here, when the money comes, you first go buy a Range Rover. You are going to conquer. The ones that phoned me are the ones that is robbing artists. You get millions from us, but you tell artists you can't pay them because you've not been paid. We are going to expose those people. But don't turn us bringing out the names as a source of shame, because this government must help you. This government, for the past 5 years, they've given 1 billion for movies. 1 billion. There's not even a hit movie that came out. People have not been paid. Then you come here and you blame the government. I am not a minister you're going to blame for stuff. Then I'm the bigger person. In future, no person will ever get money from the department if you are not telling us how much you're paying the actors, if you are not telling us how many people you're going to hire. We are tired of you buying Range Rovers with the money that should go to the artists. I want to tell you a story before I come to what I actually want to say. Many years ago, I think I was 15, we stole a vehicle. There were 3 of my friends, 3 of my best friends, but we got arrested. But we jumped out of the car. My one friend was driving. The police eventually shot him, and he passed on. But we were arrested. When we paid bail, we had to go to Cape Town to his funeral. But on the day of his funeral, we rushed to Cape Town. Also making a plan for another vehicle to get there, but we're not going to talk about that. So we got there. So when we got to the church, they said the funeral just left. We rushed to the graveyard. We got to the graveyard, there was 5 funerals happening. We didn't know which one is the funeral of our friend. So we got to the first funeral, we heard the pastor say, "Hy was 'n man van die Here." I said, this is not the one, let's go next door. So we got next door. He said, this man worked hard for his family. We said, no, it's not this one. So we went through all 5 funerals. And then we like, no. Then we recognized that the first funeral, we recognized somebody that's also in our business of infrequently dealing with motor vehicles. So we got there, and then we realized we had the right funeral. But everything that was said there was nothing about the man that we knew. So it gives me great joy today to speak at a funeral where everything good that has been, that the people are saying here, it is the actual truth. This person lived the truth. I walked in here, usually with functions like this. Government officials become the, what do you call this thing, the boxing, this thing they hit, the boxing sack, punching bag. But today I walked in here very brave. Who can make me a punching bag here? I will answer them. Because Mam Connie has applied at this department for help from the previous minister, Zizi Kodwa. And Zizi didn't think twice. Minister Zizi helped. And I got sight of a letter last night that Mam Connie addressed to the previous minister, where she thanked him after she won an award. She said in her life she's never won an award with money. And she thanked him for his foresight and the respect that he has. So, Minister, I want to thank you for making me brave walking in here. Your time was short, but you've truly, and sometimes there's a blessing to this thing. I'll tell you what is the blessing. Hey, you know, to be in the shoes and you come in a position where more razzmatazz, the real razzmatazz bucks and them has been. When you talk to people, I said to this white guy, next week, I come raise some fits. I'm the bicycle. I thought I'm in President Barry. Yeah, Bucks used to go with us a lot. Who's talking about the Bucks? So I want to say there's been dinatla in this department. But you see, we must be honest as artists. There's certain things that is in your hands that you are not using. You know, I am an author. I'm one of the most successful authors. I own my work. You know, I own my work. I look at the people in music. You don't own your work. You don't own sales. You don't own distribution. You can never make money if you don't own one of those big three. Then you want sometimes to blame us. While you also have a responsibility to own your work, to own shares. Artists in this country, my heart bleeds for you because you are not recognized as workers. How will you buy a car tomorrow? How will you leave your children inheritance? You are not being recognized as a worker in this country. And that's what I want to say to you. You know, mistakes has been made. But you know what is the one thing where I think the previous ministers, they better than me in this respect. Amongst there's good, you know, let's take an example with this lady. She asked the department for help to take people to New Orleans. The people went to New Orleans. We saw the pictures. When they were done, they wrote us a letter. You gave us so much. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where your money went. Some amongst you here, when the money comes, you first go buy a Range Rover. You are going to conquer to come and compete, but to shelter like Bob Mckenzie. You have nothing. You come and compete with us there. Then you come and swear us here on social media. Hey, Zizi has done nothing. Hey, Mbalula has done nothing. Hey, Natim Teto has done nothing. So I asked the people, how could these ministers do nothing? They said, no, these ministers did a lot. I said, show me. I'm like, huh? Mbaks give these people this. Zizi. Nati. Kiri. Zacha. Social media. Go show the people they got money. The ones that phoned me are the ones that is robbing artists. You get millions from us, but you tell artists you can't pay them when the actors, because you've not been paid. We are going to expose those people that are thing. This government is your government. There's no shame in getting help from your government. It's not, don't turn us bringing out the names as a source of shame. Because this government must help you. It will help you. But you must not tell us, I got 100,000, why you put me on social media? Why did you ask me for money? Why did you ask the previous minister for money? So many people came out and they said, thank you. We were told there's no money. And I want to tell every person here, you have been robbed. Artists, these companies, the war that this giant fought will continue. I want to say to you, you know, sometimes, just before the president announced which ministries, so we gossip. Hey, what do you want? So I'm flying to Cape Town. Minister Gayton Mantashe asked to sit next to me. So I removed my friend. I said, let Minister Mantashe sit here. He says, no, where do you see yourself? Which ministers, if you're going to get something? I said, number one, Home Affairs. I said, he says, so he's very smart. So he says, what else? I said, number two, police. Because I know it takes an ex-thief to catch a present thief. I know all the tricks. I mean, I can finish them. I know everything. I can finish them, let me tell you. You know, one of the biggest gangsters, he met me at the airport. He says, if they give you police, I'll be the first in Pimpi. I will turn and become in Pimpi. So when we landed, Minister Gayton takes the phone. So I'm thinking, hey, what is the third one? I'm phoning my friends, Kerry. Which third ministry can we say we want? Gayton just ask me. They say, take sport. I said, yeah. I'll just say sport, arts and culture. What I didn't know was two things. Number one, I've got very cheapskate friends. They only said sports because they want free tickets. Nothing about my political development, nothing about growing. But number two, if President Cyril Ramaphosa calls me tomorrow and he says to me, you can have Home Affairs, you can have police, I will nicely ask him, beg him for me to remain at sports, arts and culture. For no other reason that I will never in my life have the opportunity to repay for what I've done in the past, to change lives en masse with the opportunity that I have now. I want to say to artists, to dancers, to singers, to athletes, it's a new day. Change ifitlile. I'm going to be, it's true what you said. There is money. I'll make you one example. This government, and I hate to praise the ANC, but the truth is the truth. This government, for the past 5 years, they've given 1 billion for movies. 1 billion. There's not even a hit movie that came out. People have not been paid. Then you come here and you blame the government. Let them say I am lying because kitaba sapaka Twitter, Kerry, you got. This government, where I differ with this government is I am not a minister you're going to blame for stuff, then I'm the bigger person. Once you have gotten money, so in future, to tell artists, we are busy changing the funding model. No person will ever get money from the department if you are not telling us how much you're paying the actors, if you are not telling us how many people you're going to hire. We are tired of you buying Range Rovers with the money that should go to the artists. To the dancers, I want to say to you, South Africa, I was very embarrassed with the dancing at the Olympics. I'm going to take up that matter. I can't dance. I am those shower dancers. But when they introduced break dancing, and I was sitting there, I felt like taking off my jacket. I can show him how to dance. So I am saying to everybody here today, you know, people like to say my door's open and all those things. We must change. Somebody sent me one of the best quotes for my job. What it basically said, it says, a government that's serious about empowerment and it doesn't include the arts is not serious. So I want to say to you, I always knew the President Ramaphosa as a smart guy. I never knew he's a genius because He must be a genius. Look who he made Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Yes, so another interesting one from Gayton Mckenzie. He never misses his opportunity to take a jab, at anyone who he really thinks isn't doing their job. And that's one of the, sentiments and one of the characteristics I've come to realize about Gayton Mckenzie. He's fearless in his words, but although when he speaks, they are usually straight to the point. And he can see that he's really passionate about South Africa, so passionate for the nation. He believes so much in the nation of South Africa. He doesn't believe in the divisiveness that might actually be springing up in South Africa, but he believes in a patriotism that encapsulates all of the members of the rainbow that Nelson Mandela. You can see he always speaks about how, their father, the father of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, taught South Africans to forgive, taught South Africans to Ubuntu, taught South Africans, how to function together despite the difference in races and all that. And Gayton Mckenzie is an embodiment of that. And you can hear from his tribute here to South African actress, what many actually call her the Black Panther South African actress, Chiume, may her soul rest in peace. But you could see how passionate he was in giving the jab to the to the actors and actresses, and also those in arts in South Africa, and how many of them need to be motivated to really be at the top of their game. It's really inspiring a significant kind of independence into them. And rather than always looking to the government, actually from the level of the arts anyway, he speaks about how many of them should begin to own their works and, step up the game in trying to have a patriotic representation for South Africa, rather than being angry that, probably when the government errs in their support and all that, they kind of lose guard in that regard. So Gayton Mckenzie is actually pushing them, to take charge of their lives, take charge of their destinies. And in terms of art, I really suspect, and not I suspect, I know anyway, that South Africa has a lot to offer in the world. I remember during my high school days, I used to be passionate about animation. I'm still passionate about animation, and I'm sure that I'll be doing some animation works as time goes on, especially as regards African history and all that. There's a lot of work in progress coming, both in this channel and my other channel, where I'll be telling a lot of stories about Africa, so we really understand a lot of the complexity that characterizes the arguments on Africa's evolution, especially towards its future, in the coming days. Those will be coming up. I think they'll be what I'll be doing as my members only, a portion of my members only content on these channels. But anyway, I really then when we were practicing and learning, animation and graphics design in university, for my bachelor's, I have a bachelor's degree in graphics design, and also I have many of you know, I have a PhD in African history, but also a master's degree in future studies. So I'm a little bit all over the place. But anyway, when we were studying, graphic design, South Africa was always at the top choice for most of us, or for countries to go to train for visual arts. You see, for the visual arts, I don't know what it is about South Africa. There's a talent that actually has been given, a divine talent, a divine aesthetic talent that's actually been deposited into the minds of artists in South Africa, graphic artists, visual artists, even those who engage in fashion. The designs that come out of South Africa are top-notch, off the hook. And many of us then in university always thought that we would end up in South Africa learning animation and all that, until life had a different trajectory. But anyway, it speaks to the fact that South Africa has a lot of talent embedded in it. There's so much potential in that land, in South Africa as a nation. And so, South Africa shouldn't be speaking today about, I suspect, shouldn't be speaking about, all of the problems with 33, I think it's now even 35.2. I saw a report recently, 35.2% unemployment rate in South Africa. South Africa still has, I think it has even now gone from 82 to 83 murders a day, with a report saying that, KZN appears, Inanda, I think that's in KZN anyway, appears now to be the murder capital of South Africa, while South Africa has now come to be the murder capital of the world. You see, so these are not things that should be coming out from such a land that incubates massive potential, both in the art, in culture, in sports, in intelligence, I remember I used to be really shocked at the time when I heard that, I think it was in the 50s or 40s, or anyway, I think South Africa was said that South Africa was building a nuclear arsenal, a nuclear bomb, or I think was it a nuclear bomb? I'll do that research anyway. I'm going to do a documentary on that on this channel. You guys should stay tuned. But to have to see a lot of the great things that were built in this land called South Africa from the 1930s, 2030s, and 40s, I was really shocked that this was coming from the land of Africa. And so I think God actually has a plan of depositing in Africa a country that represents multiple races to really show the world the possibility of what a diversity can actually achieve from a land that has actually been disenfranchised and really abused for centuries. Okay, so that's what I think the destiny of South Africa is. South Africa is here to remind us of the role that a certain diverse group of races can achieve, despite the bitterness that actually has occurred in their history, but what they can achieve in pulling resources together and working together, functioning as one unit. This is what I believe the destiny of South Africa and the purpose for South Africa as one of the nations of Africa that is actually really known to have experienced the most fragrances of abuse, from slavery to colonialism and even into apartheid. And now I think even now that, I think there's now going to be what many of you have been calling a pandemic anyway, springing out from the Mpox crisis that actually seems to be spreading from the DRC. It's always from Africa. So Africa is always, the zone from where diseases spring forth. Africa is always the zone from where negativity spring forth. But yet on this continent, and that's allegedly from the media. These are media reports. This is not me saying that Africa is that zone, because I really think that Africa is the motherland. Africa is still the home of greatness. It's still the home of nourishment, of morality. I think that Africa, like in Nkrumah usually said that Africa has the potential to be a moral force for the world, you see. And I think that morality captured a lot of even the Afrikaners and the Boers and the Indians in South Africa. A lot of your comments I see on this channel, many of you speak about, you come from a really spiritual perspective, praying that God blesses Mckenzie, quoting scriptures in the comments. And many times I'm really wondering, these are not just blacks, because we used to really think that blacks are fanatics of religion. Blacks are every black man has a really solid understanding of the spiritual realm that undergirds this physical space we live in as human beings, you see. But then when I study your comments, and I really see how many South Africans, especially the white South Africans, speak about how their love for God and their love for, when Gayton Mckenzie spoke about he wants to bring God back to the schools, many of the comments were from even the whites actually saying that yes, we need God in schools. That even during the apartheid era, they used to pray at the the assemblies and all that. And for me, it's really striking and interesting. So I think that's one of the purpose and the reasons I think God actually placed South Africa the way it is at the moment on the continent of Africa. And also with the result of the elections of May 29th, the fact that, a large portion of the electorate actually said that, no, we do not want the ANC to be leading alone anymore. We now want to set in the diversity to reflect at the national level. I think that spoke volumes. And now, like many of you have seen in your comments, you're speaking about how you feel positive with the government of national unity, with the diversity of ministers, and that they're really working. And Gayton Mckenzie seems to be, like he always speaks about, he's the bad boy of the government of national unity. And if anything is going to get disrupted in the government of national unity, he claims that he will be at the forefront there trying to fight, to protect the government of national unity. And so these are some of the really interesting aspects of this tribute that actually Gayton Mckenzie gives to Connie Chiume, that I thought that for me they were really striking as I continue to understand and study the land called South Africa in this contemporary post-1994 dispensation. But anyway, what do you guys think about Gayton Mckenzie's speech here in this video? I thought it was really interesting, the tribute to Connie Chiume. But share your thoughts. What do you think about even her? Share your thoughts in the comments.